Hi, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your February 14th, 2022 Valentine's Day reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and before we clear the energy space, I want to thank each and every one of you for your healing energy, for your well wishes, for your kind messages while I've been healing and am still healing from a rather severe concussion. So thank you all so much. I thought, I slipped, I fell, I hit my head. I thought I'd be able to walk it off, and it was so much more serious than I had realized. So thank you all so much. It was a scary time. It still is a scary time. So thank you all so much. It is so greatly appreciated. All right, now with that said, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say as we wipe away the wand dust. All right. Sagittarius, February 14th, 2022, Sagittarius. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. 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 So we have a bit of a new setup here. Let me know what you think of it. At the bottom, at the front right here, is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The back right here is our emotional self. And the right-hand side is the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. At our root, we have Temperance, which is Sagittarius energy, our own energy coming forward. So the root of us is really coming forward during this time. And we're going to be really seeing the essence of ourselves on this day of love. And it's also, number 14 right there. So it's card number 14 in the Major Arcana. And so this is going to be a day that is quite intense. It's all about the balancing of our emotions and what we desire. This day is about love, whether we're in a relationship, whether, we've been in a relationship for 30 years or are just starting out or looking for love. It doesn't matter where it is that we are or if we're perfectly happy being single and by ourselves. We're looking at a day that's surrounded with the energy of love and how that energy of love connects to and contributes to ourselves, our world, and what it is that we desire. It moves us then to our next rooted energy, which is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is Taurus energy. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So love comes through very strongly at this point. if we have Taurus within our natal chart, or if we have, Taurians within our lives, they're going to play a more powerful role during this time. So being aware of that is going to be very important. Then we have our inner self. We have the Emperor, which is Aries energy, the Page of Cups, which is water sign energy, and the 10 of Swords. So the Emperor right here is that beautiful sacred masculine energy coming forward in our inner selves. This is a day that's also about action. There's the waxing gibbous moon in Leo, and so this is going to be a day where we're really drawn towards action, towards doing, towards, discovering and being. And that energy is going to be very important to us. We just can't let it rule everything, because we're going to think, okay, if I can act, if I can push, if I can make it, be XYZ, then everything will be okay, or everything will be as I need it to be right now. And what Spirit is going to be saying to us during this time, most definitely, is that look at your heart, look at what it is that you desire, look at the foundation that you're building off of, and see how to stand in that glory, see how to stand in the power and in the essence of the self. And it moves us to the Page of Cups. It moves us to water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. So if we're born on the cusp with Scorpio, if we have strong water sign energy, or we have water sign energy within our natal chart, we're coming through at this time in our inner selves as students. Just as if we have Aries energy within our natal chart, it's coming through in our inner self. So not only are we being a student of the heart, but we're also wanting to be the master of the heart, knowing all the answers, and yet having so many questions. So that duality is going to be something that's really rather important for us to acknowledge, to understand, and then to move forward with. It then moves us to the 10 of Swords. The 10 of Swords is the darkness before the dawn. The 10 of Swords is the accumulation of all the knowledge, all the hurts, all the pains that we have been through, which have made us wiser, which have made us stronger, which have made us more insightful within our own lives. And this is a way that we are resurrecting towards our power, towards what we desire, and towards where we need to be. It brings us to our emotional self. And we have here the King of Swords, air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We have the Six of Cups, and we have the Magician. So the King of Swords is very much telling us to embrace our power, to cut through doubts and fears and negativity. There's a strong, again, sacred masculine energy around us during this time, meaning we're going to be more people of action. We're going to be more people of logic and not just simply intuition, which is going to be good, but having that balance is going to be very important for us. Not letting the heart rule the mind and not letting the mind rule the heart. It's also very interesting that the King of Swords is in the place of the heart. So the mind and the heart are starting to come together. We're starting to see, we're starting to understand, but we're also looking at what we've been striving towards in our lives, what we want, what we desire, where it is that we need to be. And as we look at that, we have the Six of Cups here. And the Six of Cups is very much this essence of what from the past is coming forward, so that I can stand in the magic, stand in the power of my presence, and see who it is that I am. Now then we have the Magician and we have the World. So the Magician and the World are opening to us once again in the public arena. And this is going to be a time where we're starting to see ourselves stepping into power. And we're going to see that really moving us in the waking world in a way that surprises us. So let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. We have the Prince of Cups, which is also equivalent to the Page of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So with the Prince of Cups, we need to be mindful of immature emotions of ourselves, of those around us. We need to be open and honest with what we love, with what we want, and not be pulled into the trauma and the drama or the insecurities of others. And even looking at the insecurities of ourselves and saying, okay, is there basis for this, or is this just a fear that I have? Is this something that is going to help me, or is this something that is hindering me? It moves us to our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. And this is self-mastery. This is the solar plexus chakra. This is a sense of embracing the self, mastering the self, having the energy from the gut, which also very much impacts our mind. The gut is also known as the second brain. We're looking at the energy of our solar plexus, of that instinct, of that core of the center of us. And we're starting to see balance, harmony, what we desire starting to come forward in a very real, in a very powerful, in a very intense way. And that becomes a game changer for us as we listen to our intuition, as we listen to the bigger picture of what we want, of what we need, of where we're headed. Now, this moves us to our rooted energy of ourselves and the Hierophant. So the very essence of ourselves comes forward. But as I jump ahead, because I'm so excited about these cards, let's look at the astrological aspect of this time. So we have the waxing gibbous moon in Leo. And when the moon is waxing, it's progressing towards being full, which means the energy around this time is all focused on completion of our goals and how we can progress forward in our lives. With the sacred masculine energy coming forward, that's going to be amplified. We need to make sure that we take joy from moments, that we stand in the power of the now, and that we are present within ourselves. That becomes a game changer. That becomes empowering. That becomes emboldening. Now, the moon is also going to be opposite Pluto. Now, instead of our hidden emotions are going to be rising to the surface and demanding our attention. Our feelings are not only going to be intense, but they're also going to be complex. And the moon is also going to be opposite Mercury, which we feel a little bit more in our inner selves because we have the King of Swords right here, ruler of Gemini in the minor arcana, but air sign energy, talking, expressing, that really does fall in the lines of Mercury. And we can feel that like we have to put on a happy face. We can feel like we have to be cheerful, outwardly fine, and yet inside we're going to be fragile. We're going to need to pay attention to our own fragility, to our emotions, to where we feel overwhelmed, and really give that energy respect, and really give ourselves respect in wherever we feel insecure or wherever we feel overwhelmed. And it might not have to do at all with a partner. It could be about insecurities that we have, within our own selves, within our own lives, that we need to, look at, work at, and be able to find the balance too. Temperance comes forward. Temperance is all about balance. We are all about balance, Sagittarius. The balance of the sacred feminine, the sacred masculine. The balance of what we want and what we need. The balance of who we are and who it is that we want to be. The balance of the spiritual and the practical. And so this is a time where we're going to be looking at who we are and what we want and how we are developing and what we desire. And we're starting to see ourselves. We're starting to say, my heart matters. Balancing the mind and the heart is really making me come together in a way that is quite extraordinary. And as we say this to ourselves, we start to see what we need, what are the traditions that are the core of us that start to move us forward towards what we want within our lives, towards what we're working towards who we are. And as we do this, we realize that the Hierophant, is the Pope in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And here, Pope hat is on, the Pope is represented. In the medieval world, excuse me, the Pope was the most powerful person. He told emperors and kings and queens what to do. And so this is a time where we're looking at the tradition of our soul and of ourselves and realizing that our soul tells us what it needs, tells us what to do. Are we listening? And that's going to be the really big question here. Are we connecting? Are we gaining an understanding? Are we, embracing our dreams and our hopes and seeing who it is that we are and who it is that we want to be and how it is that we are moving forward? And as we are honest with that, and as we start to look at this in a new way, we start to see that we hold the keys to so much more. And so when it comes to love, am I making room for love? Am I focusing on the love that I want within my life? Or is it the love of fairy tales? Is it the love of, Disney movies and the erotic love that is shown to us time and time again in story after story, in movies and in books? Because what we're looking at here is we're looking at what my heart needs. And as we say, what does my heart need for me? What we are finding is what it is that we truly love, what it is that we value within our lives, and how it is that we are progressing forward for ourselves and for the place that we need to inhabit for our soul and our being. And that's going to be a game changer. It's going to open up doors that we, hadn't expected before and that we felt at times couldn't be embraced, couldn't be walked in. It moves us to the Emperor. And the Emperor is this energy of standing in the now, standing in the power of the self, the number 4, the self, really coming forward. And what we're going to see here is, what do I need? What do I desire? And what are the practical applications of what I love within my life guiding me forward? This day is going to be rather practical for us. Even if we want it to be hopelessly romantic, it's going to need to have, steady kind of knowledgeable undertones to it. And so the Emperor comes forward, and the Emperor says, what are the rules I need to follow? What is it that I desire to build the kingdom that I live in, to build the power and the bounty and the, abundance that I want within my life? And so as we're coming forward as a ruler, our heart is also saying to us, be a student. Be a student of what your heart desires and wants and needs. Be a student of what you long for. Look for inspiration everywhere. And you will be surprised at the inspiration that comes in Sagittarius, at the way that we start to see things, at what inspires us, what moves us forward, how it guides us. And it leads us to the Ten of Swords. It leads us to that darkness before the dawn. It leads us to the energy that has shaped us, the hurts and the pain and the knowledge and the insight that has forged us. And now we're opening up our mind. We're opening up what we desire. We're opening up to what we want. And we're seeing ourselves transform. And as we see ourselves rising from darkness, we're starting to see ourselves embracing strength, but also embracing the beauty of love. Some of us could feel that love can be, rather overpowering. It can be authoritative. The other aspect of the Emperor is the authoritative love, is the paternal figure, the rules, this is the way you have to follow things. And yes, there is a time and a place for that, but love also needs a beautiful expression, a beautiful whimsy to it. And so we have to be aware of this during this time. And for some of us who are looking at things and looking at the heart, it's like, but I don't want my heart to be ruled by somebody else. I don't want to lose track of myself. I don't want to fall into somebody else and have them become my whole entire life and my whole entire existence. And yet, if we stand firm within who we are and within what we love within our lives, what is the root power of our traditions and our essence and what our soul deeply craves for, then we can both be the Emperor. Then we can both come forward in the practical power of the waking day and be present. And that is an extraordinary thing, which I don't think we see a lot in each relationship. And yet it is something to absolutely aspire towards. It moves us to our emotional self. And that's the King of Swords. The King of Swords cuts through doubts and fears and negativity, has us embracing our mind, has us looking at things. The heart and the mind are communicating. But the King of Swords is also the most masculine of the kings, because he has trained, he has worked, he has seen, just like the Queen of Swords is the most masculine of the queens, very much in our present world, very much, looking at what we have accomplished, what we want, what we need, how we move forward. And now we're crowning ourselves with knowledge, and we're having our knowledge gain us insight that we didn't know we needed, we didn't know was part of us. And now we start to claim that power. But again, energy from the past is going to come forward and make us doubt that we can have the love that we want within our lives, that we can connect with the partner in the way that we've always dreamed of, or we can have back that connection that we had in the beginning of a relationship. Remember, dopamine levels increase in the beginning of a relationship. I believe it's either 6 weeks or 6 months that our dopamine levels reach this beautiful high. That's why falling in love is spoken about in such glorious ways, because it literally changes the way we think. And as we're looking through the eyes of a newly infatuated person, everything is better. And yet, when the dopamine levels start to calm down, when we start to go back to our baseline happiness, and both of us do, this is a time where it's like, okay, how do I traverse this? How do I work towards this? How do I not repeat the same patterns that I've fallen into before? And this becomes a little bit more difficult. And so here with the Six of Cups, there can also be the fear of, I don't want my parents' relationships, or I don't want to repeat the breakup that I've had before. And so we look at the past and we acknowledge it because it's helped to forge us with the Ten of Swords. But it is not our defining self. We're not defined by our past. We're defined by how we move forward in our present. It brings us to the Magician. As above, so below. As we believe it, so it becomes. There's a magic that we start to spark within our lives again. We're standing before the altar of our existence, calling forward our power, calling forward what we desire, calling forward what we need. And as we do this, we are embracing ourselves. We are embracing what is important in our lives. We're also starting to see that what we think about, what we focus on, is what we start to manifest within our world. And as we do this, we start to open up the door to what we truly want within our lives. We look at being present. The art of meditation is so important. I've been doing this meditation to help, heal my head, of course. And I forget what it is called. It's an art of, it is a movement meditation. If you look at hand movement meditation, it starts with an M. And it says to be present, to not have your mind have you follow, just not have yourself follow like a kitten chasing a rat, every thought that comes into your head. And so the magician says, as we stand before the altar of our existence, are we letting our thoughts, run us ragged, run us in 18 million different directions? Or are we standing powerfully forward in what we want, acknowledging our mind, and yet focusing on our determination for the future that we want, but also for the present that we are embracing, that we are being a part of? Are we putting down our phones? Are we putting down the distractions and saying, this is me connecting in this present moment with what I need, with what I desire, and where it is I need to be? It brings us then again to the magician. And the magician in the public arena says, power and action and skill, power and action and skill, repeated around us like a mantra. This is a time where we are looking at, just sparking this magic into our world, into ourselves, into what we desire, into what we need. And there's a beauty to this. There's a power to this. There's a real sense of the extraordinary coming forward. And as we're embracing this extraordinary beauty and connection, we're seeing ourselves more openly and more realistically. We're looking at the magic that we are connecting with a partner, or the magic that we are simply building within ourselves, knowing that love guides us, love leads us, love is a powerful part of us that absolutely transforms our world and ourselves. And that's when the world really starts to open. And the world here says, reward, success, completion. Reward, success, completion. Again, like a mantra chanted around us. We're rewarded by the successes of not only the completions of things that bring us joy, but also the completions of certain segments of our lives that maybe we weren't the happiest with. We're standing again before the altar of our existence. Now the door is opening to us. Which way do we move forward? What do we deeply desire? Where do we want to be? What is important to us? What isn't important to us? We're looking at the world and not saying the world gets to define me. We're saying I get to define myself as I step into the world that I want, as I step into the power that I need to have for me, as I step into the beauty and the vibrance and the potency of my own voice, of my own self, as I'm embracing this day of love, and as I'm embracing myself as an entity of love. So let's look at our subconscious energy to be mindful of, and it's the Hermit, Virgo energy. We're being told here to be very mindful of turning too deeply inward and only letting our own light, our own thoughts, our own way of looking at things illuminate our path. That's not going to be helpful for us. To be able to stand and see what we want, and to be able to look out over the world and to see how we connect, that's helpful. But to be trapped too much in our own thoughts, in our own perceptions, that's going to be detrimental. And being trapped too much in somebody else's thoughts and perceptions is also just as detrimental. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy, which is truth. This is the third chakra. Speak the truth. Now, yes, people might not like it when we speak the truth. It's not saying speak the truth and be mean and hurtful and spiteful, but it's saying be open, be honest, be truthful with what we desire, because that brings the balance into our lives. Be open and honest with ourselves as we move forward, as we discover, as we become. It brings us then to our subconscious rooted self. And that is strength, Leo energy. The strength in opening up our hearts, the strength in love, in companionship, in connection, in cooperation, in love. That is a powerful thing. The reason why the lion walks beside the woman is not because he is not as powerful as she is. It is because he loves her. And the reason why she walks beside the lion is not because she's tamed him, but because she trusts him. And so there is a beauty here. There's a beauty of the opening of the heart, and of the connection of the soul, and of the brilliance of the self coming forward and forever changing us. It moves us to our subconscious inner self, and that is, again, the magician. You have had the magician now 3 times, Sagittarius, and that is absolutely brilliant. In every single stage, except at our root, the magic comes forward. In every single stage, we start to see ourselves shining in a new way, looking at the gift of our words, looking at the gift of our mind, looking at the gift of the waters that quench our thirst, that inspire us, that cleanse us, looking at the earth that we walk on the fires that warm us and that, cook our food. We're going to see ourselves moving forward in a way that says the brilliance, the gifts are endless and powerful. How am I taking them in? How am I accepting them? How am I being moved and motivated by them. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self, and that's the Hangman. We're seeing everything differently. And as we see everything differently, we start to see ourselves differently. We're looking at different ways of looking at our world, looking at ourselves. We're finding balance. We're finding insight. We're finding ideas. We're seeing the door open. And as we're seeing the door open, we're seeing ourselves walk forward, stepping not only in the waking world, but also in the emotional healing world. And that's going to help us at this time as we connect, as we embrace love, as we move forward, both in the spiritual world and in the practical world, embracing our hearts and embracing what exactly love and connection mean. It brings us to our subconscious public arena self, and that is the High Priestess. The High Priestess and the Magician coming forward is extraordinary. Here it says secrets and dreams and wisdom, inner voice and spiritual world. The High Priestess and the Magician are a soulmate connection, a true love connection. It is the connection of magic through insight, through personal awakening. The Magician stands before the altar and is seen in the acceptance of gifts. The High Priestess stands in the altar of herself, stands in the quiet, in the shadows, connecting, seeing, understanding that which isn't always brought to the light of day, seeing things more openly and more honestly and more truthfully. So the veil is lifted from our eyes. We see the High Priestess, I see the High Priestess as the Oracle of Delphi, the person who gave these revelations to people who came from all over the world to hear them, who told the fortune of that person in rhyme and riddle that we had to figure out. And that's what life is. Our fortunes told in rhymes and riddles by sages and wise people who walk along our way, by, hurts and pains that define us and cut us and bruise us and try to destroy us. And yet we still walk forward. The High Priestess says, see clearly. See clearly in the public arena. Let the veil be lifted from your eyes. Look at the world not as it wants to be seen, but as it is right now in this moment. And embrace. Define. Destroy. Dictate, understand the way that you want to move forward as an individual, the way each and every one of us is seeing the world right now, slightly different than the one standing next to us, and embracing the wisdom, embracing the openness and the honesty that is coming forward. All right, Sagittarius. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity and the brilliance and the love of this Valentine's Day. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Sagittarius, and may you have a blessed Valentine's Day.